playing things. This is a Lefty, and this is a old Affinity Squier that came to me for a setup and resale. And I think this is a 90s, late 90s Affinity. Yeah, it's an Affinity Strat by Fender. Squier, of course, being their affiliate company. And it's the old bog standard sunburst model with the cream pickguard and, of course, tram cover in there in the back. You can see the old Squier plate there. And it's good that one of these came along, because it's good to refresh your mind how good they are and how upmarket they've become. Not particularly Affinities, but some of the classic modern vintage series models are now going for the same price that the lower end Fenders went for 10-15 years ago. So Squier's really moved up in the world, and now there are budget companies that have come and filled their void. But this is the bottom end of the market, the Affinity Strat. I think these go anywhere between 120, 30, 40, 50 up to £200 depending on condition. This one has the handcrafted in Indonesia next to the serial number here. Really nice maple. I think these are older. Somebody correct me if these are not. Doesn't feel overly heavy. Doesn't feel like ash or anything. And what looks to be a poplar board. It doesn't look like rosewood to me, I don't know if you can see in this light, but it's speckled or freckled dark wood. But yeah, it's just good to see one of these again. I haven't worked on a Lefty in a long time. I can't play it this way round, so I have to do the upside down thing a la Jimi Hendrix, and with basic chords you can figure it out, but trying to solo on these things upside down is a challenge. I admire those of you who can do it. But this came to me from a Lefty player who has a number of guitars and wants to let this one go, so I thought I'd do an upgrade on it. A setup on it. And it was all the usual things. The strings were too high. There was so much relief in the neck that the strings were sitting so high off the board. The saddles were too high. And the saddles were all crooked, leaning the wrong way. So the strings would slide around. So I straightened that out, made them uniform. The jack plate was loose, but works just fine. So yeah, good old Affinity Strat by Squier. It's been a while since I set up a Squier, so it's good to have this reference point, because I've had quite a few budget Strats and Tellies come through here. And this is sort of the standard, isn't it? This is what they're trying to aspire to in the £100 to £300 bracket, these lower end Strats. So it's not the top wood choice. I think the maple necks on some of the higher end maple fretboards and even rosewood fretboards are much preferable to these, but they're not bad. They feel good. Took quite a lot of moisturizing on this one. Very, very dried out. Not my favorite finish. I'm not a sunburst fan, but I know it's very, very popular. There you go. You get the full complement of color in this morning light here today. But anyway, yeah, is it different setting up in a left-handed guitar? It is. You have to kind of get used to working through the strings in the opposite fashion. When you put it on your bench, I always lay them the same way, left to right. So you're working across the strings in a different fashion, in the different opposite direction, and therefore you just have to retrain your mind about string heights and things like that. You could flip it on your bench and go that way, and then it's the normal organization of strings. However, I'm just so used to doing mine left to right that's the way I did this. So I had to sort of like work from the bottom up rather than the top down. Not a big thing. You sort of get used to it, but it does flummox you for a few seconds. These can be upgraded. The tuners aren't terrible, but they're not, as good as the higher end Fenders by any means. Neither are the string trees. The pickups on these are just fine. They're not too loud or too messy sounding, as some Strats tend to be. And all the knobs and pots function just fine, so I don't think it really needs any upgrades just for the purposes of learning. But if somebody wanted this as a mod platform, obviously you can take these beginner Squiers and really soup them up with your pickups of choice and what have you. But this, for a left-handed player, is just fine as a beginner guitar, or even an intermediate guitar. You could gig with this quite easily, and you see people doing that now with Squiers, usually the upper end Squiers, but I've seen Affinities on stage here and there, so it's possible. Probably need better pickups, certainly better strings than what's on this, but there's nothing wrong with this as a platform for live playing. So there you go, Indonesian made Fender Squier Affinity Strat. No date on this, but I'll check the serial number. My guess is it's somewhere around the late 90s, early noughties. Maybe somebody in the comments can tell me when the Affinity series came out, because they used to have different series back before then, the bullets and things like that. There you go, folks. Good old-fashioned Squier Stratocaster Sunburst flavor. All right, see you on the next one.